Good friends, Doc South here. Another, actually, a rather nice morning. I don't see any, no thunderclouds in the approaching. It's the birds are chirping, just a gentle breeze. The river is at a reasonable level. Yes, it's no problem there. No massive tidal waves coming down the valley. Yes. So it's a good day to talk about. I don't have to talk about the weather. No, what I got is a neat little. I'd forgotten about this. I don't know what brought it up, but a moosehead story. I actually, as far as my life's concerned, I've got two moosehead. No, make that three moose stories. Two are about moose heads. One's about a moose. Right. Well, they. I don't make it a habit of running into mises, or is it mooses? Mooses. They somehow just seem to, they enter my life. Gee, I might even have four moosehead stories or moose stories. Moosehead story number one, though. Excuse me. Interesting. My first wife and I, Molly, were at an auction. Oh, gee, this was at least 1,000,000 years ago. Let's see, I'm in my 70s. This was 50 years ago, at least 50 years ago. We were probably married a few years, and we had an antique shop, her and I, and it was a nice little store in a town nearby here, Chester, New Jersey. And there used to be an auction we'd go to where everyone else would go out, someplace to dinner or something on a Saturday night. We'd resign ourselves to eating hot dogs and and drinking beers from the at a bar next door to an auction house. It was known as Tess Gannon's auction. I think Schooley's Mountain auction. It was run by a young lady named Tess, and Tess was, she was a hard-bitten, really good auctioneer, and I think it ran in the family. I believe her family. Her dad may have been an auctioneer. I think she had cousins and stuff that were in the business. All in all, it was pretty cool to go there. And she had this thing on the top of a nearby mountain, a Jersey mountain, not very big, called Schooley's Mountain. Building's not there anymore. They're building a steakhouse where it used to stand. And well, anyway, so Molly and I would often get, since we bought a lot, we were like a row back from the front. The high bidders were up to the front. Generally, they had reserved seats. We were semi-reserved, right? And they had the usual stuff, hubcaps, and then there's I don't know, someone's got a piece of furniture they wanted to sell, and Tess was always, real fast, sold kind of, auctioneer. And she'd get herself going. I'd say Tess back then was probably in her 50s or so. Yeah, and a nice lady, a heart of gold, I always thought. And but again, all business at her auction. But then they always tried to do what they could to entertain. So what have they got? One day we go walking in there, Molly and me, and we look, and there's the usual stuff, all the boxes of books, which were cool. There were, all the various old-time kitchen implements, and I don't know. I'm looking, digging through the box lots. There's some records. There's a whole big box of wire insulators that you see on telephone poles. They were hot back then. Some of them had turned kind of purple from being in the sun so long, and I was looking them over. I stood up and I hit my head on as I got up, and I looked, what the heck? I had, whoa, yeah, I look like it's a moose head. Yeah, a big fat old moose head. The antlers had to be, oh gosh, let me look. Probably from antler on the left, from the left antler to the right antler, had to be at least 5 feet, maybe longer. This was a big old moose. The head, oh my God, like 3 feet from the back of his skull to his nose, and big glassy eyes looking at you, and huge moose. Oh my God, it was beautiful. I'm looking at that. I said, look at this. It's, wow. Molly, come here, take a look. And she goes over to it and says, oh. She says, what's so good about this? Poor dead moose. Who the heck shot it? She's looking around, and she says, also, look, his nose is peeling. And well, you know how moose have the long nose. Well, evidently, some of the skin from the tip of the nose had separated and had peeled up a bit. So it was like, here's the moose head, and then the skin of his nose was like that. And I guess you could see, it was like, I think, some bony stuff there. Yeah. And I said, man, I don't know. You can get a little glue and put that right back. This thing would be worth a fortune. And Tess is listening. She says, yeah, these go for a pretty penny. So I'm going to start it off probably $100 or so. And Molly says, oh, thank heaven, because we don't have any $100. God, you better not. She's looking. I don't think we were old enough to get credit cards. We were married, but we were very young. And so I said, well, okay, if you say so. Boy, that sure is a nice moose head. And the whole auction, I'm looking and at that moose head, and Tess is looking at me. She was good at reading an audience, and she sees she's got a pigeon here, and if nothing else, I'll be handy for running up the bidding. So anyway, a lot of auctions, they'll put up an item. Okay, what am I bid for this calculator? Can I get $150? Come on, this is a vintage. Yeah, and next thing you know, they drop to okay, $5. Okay, how about $1? Who'll buy it for a quarter? Back then, they go about as low as a quarter. And someone would raise their hand, sold, quarter, or it'd be 25 cents. I got 25 now, 50, 75, 75, $100, $2. And next thing you know, you're paying way more than they asked to start. Okay, and it's like that. Okay, so, and that's great. That's the fun of an auction. You never know. And so anyway, the moose head comes up. And I'm kind of looking over at Molly, and she said, oh, no, you don't. No. And Tess starts saying, okay, this moose head, people, one of the prizes of the auction, one of the premier pieces that I know, yes, the nose has but that just happened. I'm sure a little Elmer's glue, and you'll be fine. He'll be in good shape. Or you can take him to a taxidermist ghetto. I'm sure they can repair it easily enough. And she says, who'll give me 100? 100. She's looking around, dead silence in the place. Again, remember, this thing, you would have been hard put to fit this in a van. Okay. 100. All right, $50. 50. And she's looking at me. I said, 50, God. And she goes, $25. $25. Dead silence. And now Molly's getting a little worried because she knows we're getting down into my range. Tess goes, $10. $10 for the moose head. Again, crickets. That's all you're hearing. And she says, how about $1? Let's get it started for $1. And she can, and at that point, I'm trying to raise my hand, but Molly saw me in time, and she pounces on my hands. She's actually leaning on my hands, I think biting at my elbow. No, she wasn't biting, but she's holding my hands down, and I'm trying to bid. And Tess she's laughing. She's looking at me. She says, okay, 50 cents, 50 cents, 50. How about 50 cents for this moose head? And I'm trying, I'm trying to raise my foot to bid. And Molly sees that. She pounces on top of me. It looks like we're having an orgy there in the second row. And she's, well, we were newlyweds. And I'm trying to lift my foot. I'm trying to lift my hands. Tess goes, a quarter for the moose head. That's as low as I go. A quarter. And and everybody's just looking at us. And Molly didn't realize it. She had my legs. She had my arms. She didn't have my tongue. I stuck out my tongue. And Tess goes, sold, quarter, splinter shop. And she... Oh, did I get punched in the arm? Oh, man. And I said, well, we got it, a quarter. God, we got to be able to make a profit on that. That thing's not coming into our shop. And I said, well, okay, we'll put it outside. It'll sell faster. Good. You're in charge. Boy, it better sell or you've had it. I said, okay, all right. Well, in any case, long story short, we got it home. We were able to fit it into our truck, barely, but we got it out the next morning, and I nailed it to one of the pillars out front of the store, and I'd say about an hour later, if not sooner, I hear brakes squeal. A guy comes running in. He says, "Hey, that moose head, how much?" I said, "Well, I'd like to get 100 for it." Sold. He says, God, you should, that's beautiful. That's gorgeous. He said, I said, well, you saw the nose. I said, I can fix it. Don't worry. $100 here. And he throws me the cash and he says, come on, you got to help me get it into my vehicle. I said, well, it's pretty hard he says, well, come on out. What's he got out there? A Volkswagen. Yeah, like the teens have back in the 60s. Yeah, he has a Volkswagen Beetle. I said, how are we going to fit this in your... He says, I don't know. We got to think of something. He says, oh, God. He says, I live out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, about 150 miles away. I said, well, we got to... I said, but the only thing we can do is tie it to the top of your Beetle. He says, good idea. We'll do that. And so we got some rope where the hardware store was open. He went and got some rope. He's tying that thing. Anyway, long story short, after about... a half hour of tying. He had to climb in the window of the Beetle because we had the doors shut. Yeah. And off he goes, heading west, about to Harrisburg, with this giant moose head on top of his Volkswagen Beetle. No, I did not get a picture. Oh, but it had to be something going down the road with that. If he got going too fast, he might have gone airborne. That thing, it was like wings. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. $100. I count. I said, there you go, baby. Profit. She says, yeah, well, okay. She says, all right. Yeah. She's pretty happy seeing the money. Well, I don't blame her. I was pretty happy seeing it too. So anyway, so there you go. Nice moose head story for you. I'll tell you one about Sandy and me with a moose head. Okay. Maybe next time. Okay, so this is Moosehead tale number 1. Moosehead 2, tale number 2. Perhaps tomorrow. Perhaps. Okay, we'll see you later. Bye now.